Today I want to talk about the spring equinox and how we can harness this transition from the winter to spring, from cold to hot, in a way that helps us feel light, clear, and aligned with our true selves. Let's drop in. So I commonly get this feedback from people that during seasonal transitions I get sick, and also during pretty much all transitions from travel, going on a vacation, I get sick. And yes, this can be understood as like, oh, the body wants more rest, and so it's pushing us towards sickness, so I can rest. Yes, that's one way to understand this experience. But also in classical literature, Ayurvedic medicine, we can also see this occurring through 6 stages of disease. And the natural experience of an increase of waste and a decrease of waste. And this is naturally what happens as seasons change. So I'm going to explain what happens in the 6 stages of disease and what we do during the spring transition so we can harness the lightness that comes after winter. So we can utilize the waste accumulation and release in a way that helps us feel this rebirth, this renewal that comes naturally with spring. So what happens in 6 stages of disease is very unique to a holistic practice versus Western medicine, reductionism. We understand healthy and disease. And being healthy isn't totally defined, and disease isn't totally defined unless you have a named frank disease that shows up on like a blood panel. In Ayurveda, we understand that there are 6 stages of disease progression. And the idea of that is to get so attuned, so clear, so aware of your own body that you catch that stage of disease in 1, 2, or 3 before it leads to something chronic. And how do we do that? First, we got to understand these 6 stages of disease. And then you get to define for yourself what it means, what it feels like, what it looks like in your day-to-day, in your experience in your body to be in each stage. Stage 1 of disease is accumulation. Okay, accumulation of waste. This happens naturally in every season. The accumulation of cold characterized waste. Waste that is cold, stabilizing, sticky, heavy. This is what we accumulate in the winter based on just the nature of winter herself and the foods that come with protecting our internal organs from the cold. So we accumulate the kind of waste, which in Ayurveda we understand as doshas, which are regulators of the body. We accumulate this kapha dosha, or you can understand it as this waste material that is heavy and cold and sticky. First stage of disease is accumulation. Second stage is aggravation. So there's this great accumulation and now there's aggravation. Now I'm probably experiencing this urge to want to do the opposite, to have the opposite feeling. That's stage 2 of disease. What does stage 1 accumulation look like in your day-to-day? What does stage 2 aggravation of waste look like, feel like in your day-to-day? Pause and ask yourself. Stage 3 is then spreading. The waste has built up enough energy and momentum to be propelled into other areas of the body. How does it get propelled? Typically, this is a whole other video, but typically when the waste comes into our circulatory system and then gets spread out into other areas of the body. And this is usually through things like stress or working out when the food isn't properly or fully digested. So there's a spreading that goes on in terms of the waste now, stage 3. The doshas have spread to other areas of the body, away from their home location where it first came to be, which is typically the digestive system. Now stage 5, manifestation. Now I really feel signs and symptoms of some kind of disease. I get the eczema, I get the acne, I get the pain in the low back every time after I eat, or I stop getting my menstrual cycle. right? PCOS, very clear signs and symptoms that something is wrong. Stage 6 is now a frank disease, a named chronic disease that you can see on the blood panels that the doctors will understand as a disease. So if we can understand that there's a whole process, we have the agency, the ability, the power to utilize this knowing of winter to spring, from cold to hot, to do something about that, to cut the disease in its path, stop it right at stage 1, 2, or 3, and reverse and move towards health. Because everything we consume, every choice we make, leads either to health or disease. Not right away, but it is going towards one or the other. So we can harness the fact that, oh, I know that waste has accumulated from winter and the qualities are cold, heavy, sticky, and I'm going to move into the spring, which is now the eclipse of the sun tilting towards the northern hemisphere, so the heat increases. And that's going to lead to my body expelling, my body wanting to shed. Heat will now allow my body to not need to protect my internal organs, but instead flush and shed all the way up until the summer. So I'm going to crave more light foods. I'm going to crave more movement. And can I do so in this transition gently so there's not a stark shock on the body, which will usually lead to, big crash. You just went on a trip and you come home and the body crashes and says, now you need to rest a whole lot and you're out for a whole week. We want to avoid that and instead move gradually. And there's a whole video that I made on how we can transition into spring with more ease, with certain diet and lifestyle practices. So I hope that this was helpful in some way, that you can take a moment, find your signs and symptoms of reaching stages 1, 2, and 3, maybe 4, 5, and 6 as well, of disease. And then how can you harness the awareness that the heat is coming so you can gradually make changes and let the shedding happen naturally. Because if we don't, and we keep moving in the same ways of heaviness, stickiness, stability, sedentary lifestyles that we have in the winter, then we'll just continue to accumulate, get to aggravation, lead to spreading, localization, manifestation, and then a disease, which I know we don't all want. None of us wants that. What we're going to do starting next week is a 3-day free reset. Spring cleaning, like literally clean out your house, literally clean up your food, and literally clean up the way you perceive yourself in this world and step through as a new version of you for this spring. So it's 3 days. I know I need it. Your girl needs it. I've accumulated during this winter season for sure. I mean, come on, I need that. Look at this. This is just clothes that need to go get put away. It's spring cleaning time, y'all. Come on. So if you want to do this together with some accountability, with some friends, then put a comment down there and just write spring, and I'll reach out with some next steps. Can't wait to do this with you all. I send you so much love, and thank you for your deep care in holism. Mwah!